Welcome back to Roll20 Presents Fall of Magic. This is part 3? Part 3. Yes. It's the beginning of part 3. We have just reached the Stormguard Mountains. Woo. There's like a weird no rain storm on the way. Thanks for that, Andrew. And I guess it's my turn, eh? Well, as we all know, it doesn't count as a role-playing game unless you roll some dice. So,
Thank God we've got to the real part of the game.
Thank God, it's finally a real role-playing game.
Okay, it was a story game till now.
When you go to a peril section, you describe the first line as you would a regular story prompt, and when you're finished, you roll a die and describe the result. So, I think that we see Caspian riding ahead. And maybe
it's interesting that the caption here is the danger you fear as well.
So it's the danger that Caspian fears, and I don't know what it is that I fear yet until I roll.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's neat.
So I think that the storm has come. I think that during this, the impression that I get from these prompts is that the storm is happening throughout the mountains, right? So the storm is hit, and so we see Caspian, and I've ridden ahead on the mountain road. And there's a grim sort of determination on his face. He's not like this. They're the goddamn Stormguard Mountains. I've been through this pass before many a time. And riding this way is riding the way home. But Caspian hasn't been home in a long time. And so I'm riding ahead, and I'm searching for something. Like you can see, I'm looking around. I'm very cautious, and I've separated myself from the group to sort of advance to meet this danger in place. But it's a sort of dutiful advancement, not like I'm just kind of regular. I expect some kind of danger here. And let's roll a d6 and find out what the danger is. All right, the danger is news from the east. Okay, so I need somebody to play a messenger of Stormguard who's come to meet us.
Sure.
Okay. All right. So, I think that the I'm writing and I finally see what I'm looking for, and the messenger is by the side of the road, no longer riding towards me, no longer you've stopped. There's something has caused you to falter in your travel. And I stop my horse, I ride up as close as I can, and I get off, and there's wind blowing, and I have to pull my cloak close around me, but the wind is howling, and there's thunder.
So I think the messenger's horse is terrified and
So is the messenger struggling with the horse?
Yeah, and he's struggling, and we're near a cliff, and also it would be super dangerous for him to be riding it, and he's just trying to calm it down.
Okay. I think that this whole conversation between the two of us is spoken in a language that if you're watching this on TV, you wouldn't understand. It's a made-up fantasy language, and we're getting the subtitles for it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's mostly shouted over
the wind. Totally shouted over the wind. So I come up, and I call out some traditional, Storm Guardian, greeting, by the hall, get that horse under control, and I come over and grab the reins and help you pull the horse down.
And yeah, the messenger tries to say something to you, but it's drowned out by the wind the first time.
Okay.
And then you catch snippets of it, and then finally he says it again. He's just well, it's a good thing I found you so soon. And then he falters.
So I think I say what do you mean soon? The storm's on us. It'll be full in days. The Magus, and I turn over my shoulder, comes but an hour behind me. We haven't long.
And he looks back, and in the distance you can see Castle Stormguard. The valley kind of winds, and then it's up on this peak somewhere, up near the top of a mountain. And he says, "Storm's the least of your worries."
Okay. And I'm then what?
And he gets a little bit of a conspiratorial look and leans in closer. He says, Master Gladwin, as you know, not fond of what you're doing here. There's lots of talk. You should watch yourself.
And that's what you rode the mountains to tell me, that there's talk. Rumors? Don't you have anything more for me? I sent for you weeks ago.
I just managed to get loose now. They barred our exit. Many of us who still care for the old ways are being harried by the others, some imprisoned over false allegations. It's dark times, brother.
Cool, and I nod grimly and look back the way I came, and I say, find one of the old watch posts. They'll help you weather the storm. We'll pass by. I'll make sure the Magus doesn't see you.
And he gives you this look. It's like, pass by. You should turn back if you have any sense. There's nothing here for you.
And I look up at the storm and sort of grudgingly echoing the Magus's words. I shake my head and I'm like, there's no turning back now. I have to see this through. Umbra's the only way.
And he shoots you a look. And there's some, I don't know, he has some fucking saying, but I can't think of a good one. But there's some knight's saying about riding
Sure.
out.
Yeah.
Says that and he clasps your shoulder.
Some 2-part oath or whatever.
Yeah, and then he's like, you won't see me again. Good luck.
I nod and I say, with any luck, my journey ends in Umbra as well. And I say grimly, I'm like, you won't remember, but we've done this before. I aim to make it stick this time. And I clasp the boy on the shoulder and I'm like, and I'm like, we'll see you again come spring. And I think that's a ritual, another one of those ritual sayings. And I'm like, all right, boy, quickly, and kind of get you up on the horse. And I turn and ride back into the storm to meet the to meet the Magus. Cool.
Dang.
Piccolo?
Into it. Me. All right. I really just did tell a tale from my homeland, so I'm gonna go with Storm Queen Pass.
The worsening weather.
Yeah. I think it's all of us riding together, so we're getting at when we came to the Stormguard Mountains, there was this talk, we have to make it through this pass, whatever, but you can see that this is a formidable mountain range, and there really is only this one place to cross.
Yeah.
Where two mountains cut down low enough that that a road has been cut through that's below the snow line. These are the kind of mountains that are capped with snow year round.
Yeah. Some camaraderie shit.
Right here.
Yeah. For real.
Reincorporation.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we're all but the thing is, with a pass like that, the wind is just whistling through the pass, it's loud.
It funnels the storm.
Yeah, exactly. It funnels the storm. And so I don't think anyone's riding the horse. I think
Are we all huddling next to it for support as we?
I think we're trying to. We've been trying to press on. We've made it just we're coming. The pass isn't just a 5-minute walk. We're in the pass, and the wind is just whipping past. It's hard to hear each other, and we're all, I think, kind of huddled together, trying to just keep going. And I think that Cassian rode back and met up with us before we made it to the pass itself. And you told us something. I feel like you told us something about that we couldn't stop until we were through, and that it was very important that we keep going.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're kind of like making this like really slow progress. There's this terrible, like the wind is like whipping from behind, but there's also like this headwind at times. And yeah, Piccolo's got two of the pigs like gathered next to her, um, and is trying to like with the stick kind of like keep the other one in front, like keep them all together.
Hmm.
Yeah, and so she's it's kind of a somber kind of thing. I don't know if any of you feel like talking, but
Yeah, no, I mean, Caspian is like you described. Like I'm really kind of like driving people through the pass.
mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, yeah. What's your reaction to the storm and the weather, Kabu?
Kabu's having a bad time. Like Kabu is clutching the raven to their chest
Hmm.
and like soothing it because it's like it would just get like thrown away by this storm.
Yeah, of
It would
course.
Yeah,
totally rip to pieces. And they're like huddled up between like the Magus and the horse and like kind of using it to break some of the wind.
Hmm.
Um,
are you?
yeah,
How tall are you compared to the horse? Like,
like could almost fit under it. Like
yeah,
yeah, because horses are pretty big. I don't know. So like
yeah,
head level for them is like right at like the underside of the horse kind of.
okay,
Yeah, and
Cool.
they just seem really like upset and scared.
All right.
yeah, and I think uh, Piccolo's kind of talking to herself, or the pigs, or both, as she often does. Like it's kind of hard to tell the difference
Hmm.
sometimes.
Yeah.
Um, and you can, like, if you were real close, you could, and maybe actually, Cabo's close enough that they can hear this, but uh, she's kind of like really kind of quietly singing under her breath, like this song about like that the storm will come, but it will pass, and like there's some rhyme or something in it, like the storm will come and it will pass. We make it through the Storm Queen Pass, like something else, and then
You're
she like stops and then she starts again and like
she's reciting the litany against fear.
yeah. Yeah,
Cool.
I think that's that.
Awesome. I like it. All right. Raven.
Hmm.
Taboo.
Do we get a tale from my homeland or do I scout ahead some more? Hmm. Or maybe
Like
just
either one of
let's just do another
those is pretty good.
Storm Queen
Yeah, so you
scene.
want to finish off the Storm Queen pass? Okay.
Yeah, why do you guys think it's named Storm
I was gonna
Queen?
ask that. So the Storm Queen, um, like she's a person, right? Like if we look a little ways ahead, like Alana Storm Queen is Queen of Castle Stormguard. Um, so I mean, maybe it was made by the first Storm Queen. I was kind of thinking it might have like God, I wish I could remember. I wish I was enough of a Tolkien dork to remember what they're called. The big ass statues over the river, like maybe something like that, like huge. Like we could get a little like fantasy about it and have like a great statue of the Storm Queen at the entrance to the pass.
Like that if you pull out, it's like carved into the rock on either
Yeah.
side.
Yeah, or like it could just be named after her in her honor, or I don't know. But it's definitely related to a Storm Queen, if not the
I like
current.
the idea of there being this like massive forbidding statue
Hmm.
somewhere. Um, of like yeah, like maybe just this pair of like women in armor,
Hmm.
like crowns.
Sweet.
And is it on the way that we came into the pass, or is it on the other side of the
Yeah,
pass?
it's like facing this way.
Okay, so we passed
Um,
it.
yeah, and they've got like each of them has shields, and then one's holding a sword in their left hand, one's holding a sword in their right hand, and they form a cross like this at their feet. So you walk between their
So they're like
swords.
down. Cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's like, and they like touch to the ground. So there's this big like triangular gateway that you go through that's formed by
Mhm.
their swords. Um, and I think we're coming up on that.
Is that
Um,
like the midpoint of the pass, or?
yeah, and I think it's like due to whatever geographical nonsense going on here. Like that's really where the weather, like it's very typical for there to be terrible weather on this side of the statues, and then behind them, it's all pretty chill.
Yeah, I was
And
thinking there's probably something magical about the Stormguard Mountains that like protects the castle from the storm, or like the storm
Yeah.
always comes from the west and always ends at the mountains.
hmm
Because it's like they're called Stormguard for a reason, right? So it must deflect
Yeah.
weather or something.
Yeah. And that, I mean, those statues, like, are they storm guards themselves? Are they like
Yeah.
um,
magic?
So how does the weather worsen, and what does it
Although
look
we
like?
are in a time where magic is dying. Also,
Yeah.
I'll just mention that.
so I think what's happened is like there's just been this like piling up of this storm against this like barrier,
Hmm.
which is like maybe part natural, and then yeah, like there's this part of it that's also magical. So like the storm cloud is just like crushing itself against it, and it's getting more and more like tumultuous and much more lightningy because there's
Yeah.
all this like friction of the clouds like stacking up and crushing against each other, and so you have these like crazy lightning arcs between clouds and like striking the statues and stuff. It's just like
And and
insane.
are they like backing up against something we can see, or is there just like a point where they stop going,
um
like in that middle
it's
zone?
like right in front of the statues, and it's kind of like the statues are so big and they're like higher up,
Hmm.
and we like have to go up this pass to them, like they're kind of at a peak,
Hmm.
and then afterwards it kind of slopes back down.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's like literally butting up against the statues, and we can't really see them very clearly except when lightning hits them because they have all this metal inlaid in them that actually like grounds the lightning out, but they like it like arcs down them in
Sweet.
this like way that was by design, and so it like terminates at the gate and stuff like that.
Mm. So are we
Um,
are we approaching the gate? Like I feel like the gate is the thing before us, and I want to know what happens when the Magus like passes through it.
yeah, exactly. So we come up to the gate. Um, and can I narrate stuff about the Magus now
Fucking,
still?
sure. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, yeah. And so
Remember,
we
it's
all,
primarily about Cabu, so you're seeing the Magus from Cabu's point of view.
yeah. So Kabu's been like huddled under the Magus and
Yeah,
like
yeah.
shivering with fear and like clutching this bird. Um, and as we approach, like the Magus like puts a hand on her head,
Hmm.
like to soothe her, and then separates from the group and walks up and like puts her arms out to the storm, and she's like like silhouetted against these lightning strikes as she's just like up there doing crazy magic stuff. um and we're all like huddled around this horse just waiting because like presumably she's gonna like deal with the storm, because right now the lightning is hitting it and like it doesn't look like you can actually go through the gate without just being like hit by lightning basically.
Yeah.
um and so we all have to like huddle and wait for the Magus to do a thing.
Yeah. I think like Piccolo has like noticed that you're terrified. And she's like got the pigs like kind of partially huddled under the horse, and kind of comes up next to you and says, "It's okay to be scared, but also you don't have to. Everything, it's going to be fine."
And yeah, like Kabu is like shivering and clutching this bird, and I think like just slumps down into like a ball next to the pigs. Um,
Um
and so
yeah.
has like the bird in their knees, and their knees kind of up like this, and is just like cowering.
And yeah, Piccolo kind of looks around like, "Oh shit, I have to deal with this, don't I? It's me." And so yeah, and she's like, uh there, and like goes to like touch your head, like, there, little bird. It's not so bad. It'll be over soon. And like goes to like pat you or like pet you on the head.
hmm And she's like, her hair is like
Whose hair?
incredibly soft
Whose
and
hair?
nice
Or
feeling.
okay.
Or sorry, their hair is incredibly soft and nice feeling. Um, and yeah, they have this like Like even when they're like scared and they've gone like extra pale, but they're also just like singularly beautiful in this moment as well, like framed against the crazy like lightning and all the drama beyond. Uh, and they kind of like put a hand on your hand if you're like, I guess like your hand's on
Mhm.
your shoulder or something.
Yeah.
Um, and they're like, their hand is deathly cold.
Uh-huh.
Well,
Go figure. But like also really soft and kind of
mhm.
like soothing as well. So it's very eerie, like
A lot of things are eerie that are happening right now.
yeah. And then like maybe suddenly just the storm just like stops in an instant. And like the clouds are still there, but the lightning has stopped and like
Is
the
it
wind dies
like
down.
it clears up, or like everything like freezes in time almost and like
Yeah,
stops?
it's more like the like engine of it is still above us, but it has temporarily been halted. So like the
The
wind dies
storm
down.
the storm is idling.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like it's sitting there, and there's still like the occasional rumble and flash, but like nothing actually strikes to the ground.
Like it's on pause or something.
Yeah,
Hey. Okay.
Yeah, and Piccolo's in it and will be like, "See, it's fine." And then she turns and looks at Caspian like, "It's fine, right?"
And Caspian is staring at the Magus, and I think I say, I just shake my head, and I was like, "See how easy it is?" I look up at the storm, and I'm like, "She could have stopped it hundreds of years ago. Damn stubborn thing." Well,
and like Kabu has kind of come back to their senses a bit and stands up and is like leaning against the horse. Maybe it's not like that. Maybe you don't understand.
I kind of like scowl. I just scowl at you and like turn to like ride through the gates.
All right.
And then in kind of like a gossipy tone, Kabu turns to Piccolo and is just like, "I would have stopped it if I could have. It's terrible."
Awesome.
And
Walks
Piccolo
off.
is just like, "You people are all really weird and I don't get you at all."
I'm just the hapless protagonist.
It's me, a normal person.
Yeah.
Great.
All right. Okay, so I need to decide if I want to take shelter or continue the Storm Queen business. I think I'm going to carry on.
Okay.
I'm going to press on to Castle Stormguard.
The hospitality of Alana Storm Queen.
Yeah.
And hospitality we gonna have?
The kind that's in scare quotes. We just need to make
Yeah,
some edits
I
on it.
almost threw those up myself.
All right. So what do we got here? We've got so Castle Stormguard has a Hall of Knights. It has a Commoner's Hall, the Stockades, the Tomb of the Storm King, and the Court of Swords, which are all quite cool and scary sounding. But first, so the Magus, I think that stopping the storm took a lot out of the Magus. We see a less glamorous version of her as she approaches. Perhaps, and I think it's hard to put our finger on it exactly. I think that it's like there's just something less luminous about her being, something more real about her that in some way feels sad, right? Like
Yeah.
she's still this like sort of vision of sort of unearthliness, but there's something more normal about her now. Maybe she just seems like a part of the world in a way that is sort of depressing.
But she seems like a little bit tired.
Yeah, yeah. And as we ride up, as we follow her up the road to Castle Stormguard, we see the flag of Castle Stormguard like flapping from the turrets, but they're it's changed somehow. Actually, no. It's so the thing on my coin, the like sun and the sword. It's the thing
Yeah.
on the other side. It's the broken sword on the emblem instead.
For the emblem of which
Of the castle, like Stormguard has instead of my like the one on my coin of
yeah, it's the flip side of
the
your coin.
standing sword. Yeah, it's like this guy instead.
Yeah.
Um, And so and so we see that at the end, like this like these flapping banners, and we pan down to the gates, and they've been thrown open. These dark green banners flapping, and the Magus rides up, and there's like a cadre of like Knights of Stormguard, dressed similarly to Caspian, but in like where Caspian has this kind of worn sort of like silver armor. These knights have like an iron colored armor, like a dark gray, kind of more like storm cloud gray. They're wearing the like tabards of the new sigil. And at their head is on her like great white horse, Alana Storm Queen. And immediately the family resemblance between the knight that we saw before, the like woman knight that Hilary that you played earlier, and Alana, like we can tell right away that they're related. Like maybe like much older sister or mother, something like that. So we see Alana, and she's wearing her iron crown, and she's armored. The Queen of Stormguard is a warrior queen. And as we approach, the knights draw their swords, but not in a like getting ready to fight sort of way. They draw their swords and place them at the feet of the Magus's horse, as the Magus like rides up. And I think that the Magus looks at them, and Alana particularly, in a way that reminds us maybe of like a parent who feels like they've disciplined a child harshly, but it was the right thing to do. Like she kind of looks, the Magus looks at Alana and is kind of like almost apologetic, but not, but is still like firm in her like, yes, no, things are the way they should be.
Kind of a resignation.
Yeah, like it's a hard thing to do, to punish a child that doesn't understand, why they're being punished, but it has to be done. And the knights all kind of like stare at the ground, and their body language and their behavior is all very like obsequious and sort of servile, as we ride into the castle. And I think that maybe we see, as we like pan into the castle, we just see partingly on the horizon the jagged peaks of the Stormguard Mountains, now seeming to hold no purpose as the storm kind of like is dissipating in the distance, right? It's like dying away slowly with nowhere to go, sort of folding in on itself.
And so the Magus is riding in on the horse. Is Cabu up on the horse with her, or?
Yeah, I think so, but like wrapped in the Magus's like weird cloak thing.
Okay, so obscured probably from like the Storm Queen and the guards.
Yeah, everyone here. The focus is very much between Alana Storm Queen and the Magus. Everyone else just kind of falls into the background.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Do you want to do our first scene, Piccolo?
I guess I must, since that's what I do on my turn, which it is now.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to Hall of Knights, the best.
The best. I feel like there's probably supposed to be more words after that, but
well, I'm going to the Court of Swords.
Oh shit! All right. So yeah, numbered story prompt is a peril. Describe the first line as you would a regular story prompt. When you're finished, roll a dice and describe the results. So you talk about a disagreement, and then we'll roll and figure out what the outcome is.
Yeah. So, Castle Stormguard is cold.
Yeah, for real.
Really cold, and it's like really. It's like made of beautiful stonework, and it's really like sparsely decorated. Like it's made of beautiful stonework, and we didn't put anything else in. Really,
we didn't want anything to get in the way of the stone.
We didn't want anything to obscure it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So it probably like echoes like a lot too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so there's inside it's obviously like highly fortified castle and everything. Inside there's one kind of like an and open. It's like a half open courtyard, um, where like it feels like an open courtyard, but it's enclosed. Like there's a ceiling and everything to it.
Sure, but it's so big. Like it's like a
Yeah, but it's
vault.
really big, and it's like a training yard kind of thing.
Hmm.
You can tell that that there's like it's mostly just these like sheer stone walls and this like large rectangle in the ceiling, like some ways above, but like over by one of the entrances, there's a couple entrances into it. Over by one of the entrances, there's like a rack for weapons or whatever, that's set up, but mostly just very empty. And Piccolo's in there with her pigs. Um, and it's kind of just, yeah, just like it's a packed dirt floor in there. It's not like a stone floor. And so they're just kind of like, doing pig stuff, like rolling on the ground or whatever. And I think someone comes in, probably would be, I'm not sure if it's I don't think it's Caspian necessarily,
Okay.
but like someone from the castle. So I guess maybe it makes sense that Andrew, because I don't know if Caspian might show up at some point, but
Oh yeah, I
Andrew,
can
if you want to play
castle.
this like another guard of the storm guard.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you show up and you're like kind of surprised to see me there, and then are like, you can't have those in here. Like, yeah.
Child, this is the Court of Swords. This is not a pig pen.
Oh,
Please
well,
get them into. Please move them along.
well, but you see, it's dirt in here and it's stone everywhere else, and it's too cold for them to lie down. And no one was in here, and I just thought that it would be that.
Yes, but it is dirt because this is where the trials by combat are held.
Well, but no one's trying anything by combat right now. I just thought maybe.
It is a sacred place, child. Please move along. You are a guest. But
Yeah, so let's see. We're disagreeing.
Yeah. Let's see where this goes.
So I need to roll a d6 for it?
Yeah.
I just want justice of the
Oh
storm.
shit! Somebody is dishonored. One of the three of us.
One of the three of us is going to be dishonored.
It doesn't
Yeah.
have to have anything to do with the scene, right? Like,
Um,
I mean, it does.
doesn't
Yeah.
have to, but it should. I mean, I think that's, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I'm going to,
would y'all
or
be
at least it
interested?
should come up in the scene.
Yeah, would it be cool if it's like, yo, someone is like, there's a trial happening here, and then we could like get into a scene about someone being dishonored at the trial or something?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's this. So the authority here is for Hilary to decide the outcome, like which of the three of us gets dishonored. And yeah, I mean, it's your scene, Hilary. So
Yeah. So, I just wanted to, it seemed like the appropriate point to stop and make a roll.
yeah, for sure.
And so you had just said to me something like,
Like how it's a sacred space, and that like, although you are a guest, like please respect that.
and I think I'm going to get kind of fed up and be like, well, I asked Caspian, and he said that I'm not supposed to have the pigs here. I'm not supposed to have them there. But where am I supposed to have them? And I asked him where I could bring them, and he said that there was lots of dirt in the Court of Swords. And she's like, she's
I
getting
believe
like,
I believe the word I used was filth, but yes.
And yeah, so this knight is just like, he said, what?
like, do you appear behind me and say that, or is that just like a,
No, yeah, I think that's what I say. Like I've been here the whole time, and I like come out from
Okay.
under one of the like columns, and I scowl at this knight, and I say to the guard, I say, she might as well keep the pigs here. Swine are the only thing this place is fit for anymore. Like I scowl angrily.
I think he narrows his eyes and just says, Master Gladwin will hear of this.
I
He,
I hope he does.
he like stalks out, like hustles off to get his boss.
Cool.
Yeah, and like after he turns around and Piccolo's like fairly sure that he's not gonna look back, she makes a really rude gesture at him.
Okay. Nice.
Makes like a really rude gesture at him, and then like crosses her arms, and then like looks over at Caspian like,
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, I'm kneeling down like with one of the pigs, and I look up at you and I say, I should go to the armory and find them some armor. We can have them joust. It'd be amusing.
I don't think that's probably safe.
I shake my head and like, if you want safety, you're in the wrong place, child.
Is Caspian drunk again, or is he
Oh
just
yeah,
really?
no, he's tanked for sure.
Yeah, and I'm like, are you in trouble?
I look at you. What do you mean?
Well, I don't know. You have that book, and you lock it at night, and you have a cloak like their cloak, but you're not the same as them. It's different.
Is that not how it is is that not how it is in Ravenhall? Are things there always the same? Beautiful summer with roses every day? Do you not have
Yeah.
days of darkness? Is there not disagreement? Or does the Magus keep peace?
Well, why would anybody fight?
Why indeed. Better I think, and I like scratched the pig and said, better I think to be a pig and not worry about these sorts of things. Do you think they'll notice when the Magus is gone? I like stand up a little uncertainly.
And I like look kind of like horrified at you. And I'm like, why would you say that?
I give you a look. It's like, what? Which part? I'm not sure what you're offended by.
Like, well, 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 at least a pig is a pig. And you're a knight, but you're not. So
Aye.
there. And I like storm off. I storm off to just like a different part of this really large room.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you go like poke at the dirt somewhere else.
Yeah. Caspian is like 100% dishonored. Come on now.
Yeah, totally. Okay, I'm gonna switch tokens then. I'll flip my side and
Yeah,
I'll use the
Yeah.
busted sword.
it's on you, buddy.
Let me. All right. Cool. Okay. So it's your scene now, Andrew.
Okay. Um,
I just keep hearing the best. Every time I look at the box, but
it's me. I'm the best.
It's where the training montage is.
perfect.
It's just knights fist bumping each other
Yeah.
for several hours.
Where are you gonna go? Where's our scene?
I'm like struggling between the Commoner's Hall or the Tomb of the Storm King.
I was thinking of doing the Storm King. I've got a Storm King thing in mind. So if you want to do Commoner's Hall, we could get both
Okay, cool.
covered.
Yeah, I've thought of a creepy scene involving.
Oh, good.
Perfect.
Yeah, fantastic.
Still seeing your best at.
Yeah, I'm just gonna Andrew it up for a minute, everybody. Get ready.
Not me, it's Andrew. Gosh, we love you.
So like, well, actually, maybe the better place to do this kind of thing would be at the stockades.
Okay.
Ooh, okay. No beautiful
Um,
dancer.
And so like, for whatever reason, the Magus is like, like I think the Magus is kind of doing the Pope thing where they go and like meet all the people,
Mhm.
and that includes like the stockade people. And so like, yeah, as they're passing through, and like there are various prisoners there, including some disgraced knights and stuff are in there as well.
Mhm.
And they're like stripped of all their armor and everything, but they have like slightly nicer prison cells than the other prisoners.
And are you like tagging along? It's just the two.
I'm like on her arm. throughout the
Okay.
little like tour bit.
Hmm.
And I think maybe like the Magus like very specifically like wanted to go talk to these people.
Yeah.
Um,
Should Adam voice her, or if that becomes necessary, or do you just want
Hillary,
Yeah,
me?
do you
you
want to
could.
voice her?
Yeah, why don't you be the Magus and I can be some rando knights? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, random nights.
And so these knights are like they're essentially like in a similar boat to Caspian where they like still believe in whatever it is that Caspian believes in or are as conflicted about believing in things as he is. Um, and so like that messenger would have been, like in tow with these guys. Um, but these are the ones who got caught, and
Hmm.
it sucks for them. Uh, and so yeah,
What are you doing while the Magus is going around and like clasping hands and like nodding to people or whatever? Is this super boring for you, or is this like
I'm interested. And I feel like it's the apology goes between one of the knights and the Magus, and that this is about like setting this like establishing something of what's going on within the keep here for the audience.
yeah? I'm
Um,
just wondering how this is connected to Kabu.
Cabu's going to sweep in at the end and be a creeperino.
Oh, all right. But like, what are you doing during all of this? Like, just literally hanging onto her arm, or
And like after she has like spoken, like she's kind of making her way through and talking to various people, and after she's spoken to people, um, I think Kabu like talks to them briefly, and
like
there's like
also?
some little like ritual conversation that goes on almost, or like an exchange.
Okay,
Like they give Kabu a coin.
okay,
It's like always the same coin. It's like this weird, elaborate, like or like ornate coin.
okay,
Um, and there's this very like ritualized exchange of it where Kabu like takes it very carefully and like pockets it and then like holds their hand and makes eye contact for a moment and then talks to the next one. And there are maybe like 30 of these, men and women.
mm-hmm. Okay. So I feel like there's another like another one of these nights or whatever, and the Magus comes up and is like, we're talking, and then she's like, and I've brought the raven. Uh, I'm sorry that it took so long.
Okay. The knight that you're addressing is like obviously afraid. I think that he's like middle kind of like middle age. Like he's sort of he looks like he hasn't been in a fight in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And he's standing sort of trembling before the Magus. Um, and he says he like actually maybe he like drops to one knee and like bows his head. And he's like, my lady Magus, my father fought against your forces in the last battle at Swine Hill, and he like shakes his head and he looks down and maybe we see like tears like darken the stone at the Magus's feet.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, but our family was never able to atone properly, as is the way. I've waited so long for your visit. And he like draws his sword and places it on the ground by your feet. And he says, he looks up and his eyes are all like teary, and he says, my we don't want our family to end here. We've tried so long, and my wife has never been able to. And he like chokes up a little bit, and he like reaches for you, and we get the impression that he like, and maybe it's real, maybe there is some kind of curse or whatever, but he like they can't have kids because he thinks that like the Magus has cursed their line and stuff, and he's just like he wants to apologize. And he's like, I want you to know that that we cast him out upon learning what he had done, and that none of us believe he was right, and he's like clasping his hands together, like waiting for you to say something, and it's just sort of filling the silence with like kind of racked sobs.
And she looks at him kind of in pity, kind of like that sympathetic, empathetic pity, but kind of like you are a pitiful and tiny thing.
Yeah.
Sort of pity.
Sort of imperious.
Yeah. There is some kindness in it, but it's also like.
But it's at a great remove, right?
Yeah. Like you're embarrassing yourself kind of thing. And she says, that's good. And she almost like half laughs, like chuckles off, and better late than never. And I suppose we are almost out of time. And she smiles slightly and she says, well, as I said, I've brought the raven. And she like kind of does a little like gracious sort of half bow to you and moves along.
Okay. Yeah, the knight looks with a mix of like fear and like anxiety at Kabu then.
Yeah, and so like Kabu walks up to the knight and just like nods. You'll be all right.
Okay. The knight is like transfixed with fear.
And then like Kabu is like waiting for him to like do the thing.
Sure. He realizes it, pulls it from like he's got it in his glove or something, he pulls it out and like fumbles it, and we hear like there's this silence and we just hear the like plink of the coin hitting the floor.
Ping.
Yeah.
And Kabu frowns.
Yeah. So he like fumbles with it and picks it up and holds it out to you.
And they like put a hand up and just say, well, then it is not your time. And like so he like hands the coin and Kabu like takes it,
Yeah.
flips it, and presses it back into his hand.
Okay.
Oh.
And so like we can see that like one side has this depiction of like a dead, like a horse's skeleton, and that's been like impaled with swords, with these like overly large swords, almost like tarot card style.
Mm-hmm.
And that
Like
side gets
hand.
flipped down, and on the other side there's like a picture of, it's like two people kneeling with their hands clasped and their heads down, and so like that side is up, face up, and then Kabu like closes the knight's hand on it and presses it back to him.
Okay. What?
You are to stay on.
Okay. Yeah, I think the knight, yeah, like kind of like collapses as you like pass him, as you move on to like the next thing. Like he falls to the stone, like weeping into his hands, but we can't tell if he's weeping in relief or that he's just been handed like some kind of death sentence.
Mm-hmm.
Or some worse than death sentence.
Yeah,
or,
totally. Yeah, some very bad thing.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, and then like once they've gotten through like all of these knights, and they're all kind of in this like stockade together, like.
Obviously, like these are ones that are still like, if they've been allowed to keep their swords and stuff, they're kind of locked away down here, but like whatever.
But like in a like
Yeah.
in the way that like cops treat other cops, kind of okay. Whereas the other prisoners who aren't knights are like having a miserable time. And so yeah, like they've kind of been like separated into two groups. Like some of them have gotten up and left, and the others are like still there kneeling after the like exchange. And Kabu just turns to them all and says, "You've done very well. Thank you." And then they all just like fall over dead.
Awesome.
And then Kabu like goes over and grabs the Magus's arm, and they walk away.
Nice. Apology accepted. Cool. Good job, Darth Kabu.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. All right. Well,
Now, Adam?
yeah, I'll do my Storm King tomb scene. I'm gonna need a Gladwin, the like guy who I was warned
Master
about.
Gladwin?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, not right away, but feel free to come in. So I
I don't
think,
know, Hilary, do you want to be a jerk or should I be a jerk?
Well, let's see what our other options are, Andrew.
yeah.
I'm great at being a jerk.
So down below, and I would love for this scene to escalate into a sword fight. So just
Oh, yes,
that's
please.
definitely on the table.
Yeah. Do you want to be Gladwin? I feel like you've brought Gladwin up.
I've set him up, so yeah, sure.
I
I'll
feel
follow
like
through.
I want to give you.
Well, how about this? How about when I mean, Gladwin's a coward and an asshole, so obviously he's not going to come alone to fight the
No, of
Fables
course not.
Caspian. So, Hilary, why don't you play? Gladwin's like men? Why don't you play like
Okay.
the men and women that come down with him to try to kill him?
I'm the retinue.
Yeah. Okay. So we're in a tomb, an obvious tomb, somewhere deep below Castle Stormguard. The deepest like levels of the tomb. And Caspian is there, book in one hand, the torch in the other, holding his torch over his head, passing through this dark catacomb. And I think that on either side, it's sort of like the like French catacombs, like there's just like walls of skulls, and they're marked on the forehead with like symbols indicating various things that we don't need to know or care about right now.
Like
But like
drawn on the forehead or
no,
carved
like
in?
carved into the forehead of
Okay.
the skulls to like mark who they were or when they died or something.
Yeah.
In what manner they served whatever
Exactly. And we
nobility
reach
they're buried with.
yeah, when we reach the end of the line, the very like depth of the tomb, and there's this like obviously like ancient like carved statue of a figure, and it's so old and has been like withstood so much time that we can barely tell anything about it except it's like a human shape. Maybe we can make out like a bearded face and like a crown, but otherwise it's near
But like its
impossible.
features have been worn away by people like touching it and stuff.
Yeah. Um, and yeah, and Caspian approaches and sets the book just aside, like on, and actually maybe in front of the thing. There's like an actual like sarcophagus, or whatever. He sets it on that, and he kneels down, and like clasps his hands before him, and he begins like a somewhat like a prayer, but like not ritual. Like he's just like kind of talking to himself, but he addresses like the Storm King, and I think he says like forgotten king, I have traveled as far as I could, learned all that I could from the book, but I still don't know the answer. I don't know how to stop this. And above, everything has changed. Your daughters, they did their best, but Alana, and he kind of like looks around conspiratorially. She's fallen in with the Magus. I fear the guard is dying from within. I don't know what to do. And I like look up at the statue. And maybe this is when like Gladwin comes in all like arrogantly.
You just hear in the like echoey like far reaches of this catacomb, you hear the sound of a sword being drawn.
Hmm.
That
Yeah.
followed by like a bunch of people doing that all together.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So Caspian, I think, stands instinctively almost and like, yeah, draws his sword, and it kind of like flashes in the darkness. The torchlight, like it glimmers off its surface. And I look over my shoulder at the statue, and I say, Gods protect us from the storm. And I turn and like wait for Gladwin to approach.
And yeah, you can like they're kind of right at the edge of your torchlight.
Hmm.
Gladwin like comes up, and then you can just kind of make out that there are like 6 to 10 more people behind him.
So I sneer when I see Gladwin and I say, come to kill an old man in the dark, have you? You should have brought more men.
And you hear one of the people from like slightly behind Papa say, "Hey, not all of us are men, bud."
So I say back to the crowd of toughs, I'm like, this is an ignoble place to die, pups. You can do better than this.
There are plenty of dead for you to join here.
Yeah,
Come,
and
Caspian.
someone else speaks up from behind, like, "We're not afraid of an old man."
I think
Old man.
I think Caspian like grins at that, and he's like, "You should be." And I look like at Gladwin, and I say, I said, If this is how the gods have it laid out for me, I'd rather die at the feet of my king than live as a lapdog to that abomination upstairs. And it's intentionally unclear whether I mean the Magus or the Storm Queen.
Yeah. And yeah, Gladwin squints at you and just says, if I don't get you tonight, sooner or later you'll be dead, and with you, the last of your foolish apostasy. With the others have given up their ways. There's nothing. I don't even want to have this talk with you. We've had it 100 times.
So I think I say to Gladwin, and I say, then let's make this the last. Someone once promised me a long time ago that a day would come when I would die. I'm still waiting. Care to try your luck? See if it's today?
So yeah, I think Gladwin comes at you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think the other people are holding back for a moment to see cool. It wasn't really clear when they all decided this was going to happen, whether it was these two are going to duel or we're just going to murder this guy.
Right.
So they're kind of waiting to see how this goes.
Okay.
And I think interspersed with the scene of them fighting with swords, we get flashbacks to this time where there was some legit big schism. We get little flashes of it.
Yeah. I definitely think that in the fallout of the battle that Hilary was describing before in Piccolo's scene, where we lost basically when Stormguard lost to the Magus' forces, we had to sign some kind of bullshit peace treaty to serve the Magus,
or some kind of legit peace treaty where it's oh, we're actually assholes, we're
this is Caspian scene and it's a bullshit peace treaty, but it might the world at large it might be legit, but Caspian is definitely of the old order, that it was that was cowardice to give up to this monster, and the death of magic is a good thing in the eyes of, because the storm, this, we're here to protect the civilized people of the world from shit like the storm, which is magic. And I think that's what we kind of learn, is that Gladwin belongs to sort of the new order, that Alana has taken up that that call, but that the Storm King originally, and Caspian and some of the other knights written about in this book, are hell no, we have to end magic, it needs to go away. So I think obviously Caspian defeats Gladwin at some cost, but I think I disarm him and have him driven back against the sarcophagus. Maybe he's got his back against it, he's on the ground. Did the other
I think everyone else has been watching this fight happen, and you disarm, disarm him, and you've got him against the thing, and you suddenly feel a poke against your back, and you turn, and maybe you turn to look, and you realize that you're ringed by people with their swords out, just looking at you that's cool. You want to go? Yeah. So everyone's just looking at you, waiting to see and someone actually that the woman from before speaks up and says, "Well, have you had your fun? You done now?"
So I turn around, and so there's this person. Is it her that has the sword?
Yeah.
Okay. I turn around.
They all have swords. But
I look down at the sword, and I look at her, and I shake my head, and I was I could have told you how this was going to go from the beginning. And I reach out with my left hand, and I grab her wrist, and I just pull her sword into me. And I don't bleed or anything. It just goes right through me, and it's in me, and obviously there. And I just look at her, and I'm let's wait to see what she does.
And she's staring at it, and staring at you, and staring at it, and staring at you, and staring at it, and staring at you, and backing up
Okay, yeah, does she lets go of the sword?
Yeah, she lets go, and no, yeah, she lets go, and she's backing up and making some sigil to ward off evil or something.
Yeah. I'm trying to decide whether I stab her or not. Yeah, I totally do. So I think she takes a step back and is all surprised, and I stab her, and this time there's blood. No, I stab her with mine. So I stab her, and I pull my sword out, and I don't know, maybe she like staggers to the floor, and I look at her.
Yeah.
I shake my head, and I see, and I'm like some of us aren't so lucky, and I draw her sword out and throw it on the floor, and look at the rest of them to like see if they run.
Yeah, they do. Like one of
Okay.
them, like there's a couple who are still like they've got their swords out, but they're like shaking, and one of them's like shaking his head and just like drops the sword and like turns, and as soon as somebody breaks, they all just like
Yeah, they run for it.
yeah,
Okay.
and they totally abandon Gladwin to you.
Yeah, and I think maybe we end the scene on like Caspian looking at the statue of the king, and I like hold my sword up and like bring the hilt to my lips and like kiss it, and we can see that
Like
the
a salute.
yeah, and we can see that on the sarcophagus, the like carving, the sword the king is holding is the sword that I have. And then I just like bring it up in the light and bring it down, and then the scene ends there. Suck it, Gladwin.
Damn.
Yeah, cool. So
Yeah.
when we we'll take our last break here, and when we get back, Hilary, you can decide if Piccolo goes to the Commoners Hall or if you'd like to carry us on to our next location.
Or go to the best hall, the Hall of Knights.
Yes, or you can go to the Hall of Knights, which is the best. So you have that choice as well.
Or come down to the tomb and be like, what happened here?
Yeah, what the shit is going on?
I'm only gonna play scenes that other people have already played. That's
Yeah,
not necessarily
totally. Just
true.
pile up on the scenes.
Okay, great.
Cool.
Let's have a sweet break.
All right, take a break, and we'll be back in just a couple minutes with the conclusion of tonight's game of the Fall of Magic. See you soon, everybody.